It's 3 in the morning. You're staring at the ceiling and your mind is racing through a checklist of possible disasters. A broken car, a dead laptop, and emergency surgery for your pet. This graph illustrates the biological reality of that stress. As your bank balance dips, your body's primary stress hormone, cortisol, spikes inversely. This isn't a temporary mood, it's a physical state that disrupts your sleep and impacts your long-term health. This persistent state leads to decision fatigue. Every grocery trip becomes an exhausting mental exercise of calculating whether you can afford the name brand pasta or if you have to settle for the generic version. Chronic scarcity traps the brain in a reactive survival state. When every dollar is a calculation, your mental energy is entirely consumed by the present, leaving very little room to plan for the future. Escaping this biological trap doesn't actually require a massive windfall or a 6-figure salary. It requires reaching a specific milestone, $10,000. To see why, look at the costs of average life emergencies. Most car repairs, ER visits, or minor household disasters fall within a predictable range. As this chart shows, $10,000 sits comfortably above the vast majority of these statistical setbacks. Once your savings exceed the cost of most likely disasters, how your brain processes risk changes. You move from a state of constant survival to a state of manageable inconveniences. The first $1,000 is the most demanding phase of the journey. This is where you have to break existing spending habits and start seeing yourself as someone who saves money. Reaching this point isn't about extreme deprivation. It's about building a sequence of micro habits that rewire how you handle daily expenses. Take the 1/3 redirection strategy. This pie chart represents daily convenience spending, coffee and takeout. Route just 33% of that into savings. As you track these skipped $5 purchases, these small increments stack up, filling the savings bucket surprisingly fast. Completing the first 1,000 provides the psychological proof you need. Controlling your cash flow makes the next $9,000 feel much more achievable. To sustain momentum without exhausting your willpower, you have to shift from manual saving to automation. Your primary income stream splits immediately, routing a specific amount into a locked vault before reaching your monthly expenses. By auditing recurring costs, you narrow your expense pathways. That reclaimed extra cash flow is then automatically redirected straight into the vault. You can further protect your progress by applying a 24-hour rule for non-essential purchases, creating a mandatory cooling-off period for impulse spending. As these systems run in the background, you'll find yourself hitting the $2,000, then the $5,000, and $8,000 milestones with significantly less effort than the first 1,000 required. When the mechanics of saving are automated, your mental effort drops to near zero, freeing up cognitive space for other goals. When you finally see 5 figures in your account, the shift is immediate. The value isn't in what you can buy, but in the knowledge that the buffer exists. Biologically, your body begins to exit survival mode. Cortisol levels stabilize, sleep quality improves, and those constant, exhausting mental calculations start to fade. Back at the grocery store, the experience is different. You choose your food based on your preference and nutrition, not because you're worried a few extra dollars will derail your budget for the week. Even when a check engine light flashes on your dashboard, the reaction is different. You might be annoyed by the repair, but you aren't panicked. Reaching this milestone reclaims the mental bandwidth you previously spent on survival, giving you the energy to think more strategically about your life. That reclaimed bandwidth often leads to an upward spiral of professional growth. When you aren't stressed about basic survival, you have the energy to focus on career advancement and new opportunities. It changes the dynamic of your interactions. In a salary negotiation, having $10,000 in the bank allows you to speak from a position of confidence rather than desperation. You become willing to walk away from a deal that doesn't serve you. This chart illustrates the leverage your savings provide. A small portion of your buffer, say $2,000 for a professional certificate, can create a much steeper, recurring trajectory for your lifetime earnings. This is why a person with $10,000 in savings is closer to financial independence than a high earner with no savings. The high earner is stuck in a cycle of earning and spending, while the saver has developed the skill of keeping and utilizing their capital. Ultimately, saving your first $10,000 is about more than the money. It's about moving from a life of reactive fear to a life driven by proactive opportunity.